Hello, and welcome to Coffee with Coaches. I got my coffee. Got your coffee. Right. I'm
Hello.
Heike Fallon. I coach a lot of great people that want to create even better life and be more successful and really rock it with high performance. How about you, Shannon?
I'm Shannon, and I help women heal after miscarriages and have a community to support women through that grief.
Yes, and we do this because we have amazing topics and we want to share all that with the world out there. So, Shannon, today we have a really good one.
Yeah, we are talking about community. Community is vital to survival.
Yes, it is.
It's community is, I think, such an important topic because community will help us heal through hard times, which I think a lot of us are going through some hard, stressful times right now, right? There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and community is extremely important all the time, but especially when we're going through difficult times. And community is really important for us in our growth and our support for each other.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, I know it's popping up everywhere right now because it is becoming a kind of really more people realize how important it is. Because there's so much research out too. We're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. There's so much research of the benefits of being part of a community that it's vital, like you just said in the beginning. It's vital to survival because it's such huge component of who we are as human beings and what our survival needs are. And
Right.
One huge one is connection. And that shows up even more. And that's why I think became a lot more popular right now, is because with COVID, we lost community, right? We weren't allowed to go outside. We were just, some people were really lonely because they didn't really have, family or, and they didn't have the connection anymore with their community. And doing the things that they do with other people together. And that's when it really came very obvious. Community is super, super important because of the connection. The human system, human brain thrives with connection. For mental well-being, we need the connection, but also there's been lots of research done that when we feel the connection, we got also a sense of belonging, and that can actually help our immune system too, which then helps our physical health, which then helps us to live longer. So it's not just I feel good, being part of something, but there's implication to mental health, physical health, emotional health, cognitive thinking. There's just everything. So connection is definitely one huge component.
I love that you brought up that it's good for our immune system, because I hadn't thought about that. What I've been researching and hearing a lot about is when I say connection and community is vital to our survival, it literally is, because when we were, hundreds of thousands of years ago, when we had to be in a community in order to survive. We had to have community in order to go out and find food and to protect ourselves. If we weren't in a community, we weren't going to survive. And so there's that lifelong need of community. And there's research that shows when you are not part of a community, when you're left out of something, it triggers a part of your brain that feels actual pain. The same part of your brain that feels actual pain is triggered when you feel left out of something. Yes. So that's how important being part of a community is.
Yes, I actually have read that too. I've read that too. And that's when it affects again your physical health, because then you start being in pain, and you may have had some other discomfort or pain, and it shows up more, not because, let's say you have a herniated disc, I'm just using example, and the herniated disc got worse. No, it's because your mental well-being, your emotional well-being isn't well, because you're not feeling the belonging, and that can show up as more discomfort in back pain or other pain that shows up all of a sudden, and you think it's physical, but it's not. It's really coming from an emotional and state.
And I think we tend as human beings, when we're going through something hard, or when we're in pain, physical, emotional, whatever, we tend to seclude ourselves, and sometimes we remove ourselves from community, when in fact we need to be engaged in community. And for me, when I was going through all of my miscarriages, there wasn't a community. And I kept trying to find a community. I kept trying to find people who would understand my pain and understand what I was going through and validate and see and recognize what I was going through. And, they say misery loves company. Like, it's true, because we need to be seen in our pain. And there was nothing for me. There was no community for me to turn to that I was able to find at that time. So I created my own community, because I know how important it is for your pain to be recognized and to be seen and validated.
Yeah, and I love what you just said there, because it part of the community helps us to gain clarity, right? That's what a big part for you was like there with, and I know that's what you do with your community. You have actually a community of women that went through miscarriage, right? And gaining more clarity of, like, other people being there like that, how are they going through there, get a different perspective. So I've been part of different coaching communities, for example, with other coaches. It helps me to grow and learn and gain more clarity of my situation where I'm at. So it's not just, oh, we're together having a good time, having a coffee.
So and this is part of our community.
This is part of our community, exactly. So, but the amount of clarity I gained by hearing other people going through similar situations, learning what they have done, how they cope with it, what strategies did they implement, and getting a different perspective, or again bouncing off like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, I'm a little frustrated, or because life goes like that, right? And when we're down, we can be in that, when we're part of the community, it will help us to bring us up, keep us on track instead of going more down spiral. It can help us keep that momentum, keep us going up in the right direction, even though life goes like that.
I mean, I always notice that after we get off a call, or when we do these recordings, my brain is always better. I always feel better. I never feel worse. I always feel inspired.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because we validate what we're going through. We know we're not alone in a situation. Have you heard of the molecule called tachykinin?
No.
I talk about it all the time.
Oh, tell me.
Okay, so it's this molecule that when we have increased tachykinin, our anxiety and our depression goes up.
Okay.
So one of the ways to bring this molecule down in our body, the amount of molecule in our body, is through community, is through talking and being with other people. And so when you see people who are part of a community, or who are talk therapy, whatever it is they're doing, their tachykinin molecules go down. And so their anxiety and their depression goes down, which is why depression is helped through therapy, talk therapy, groups, when grief groups, all of it. I thought that was so, like, the science behind, like, there's actual science as to why that happens and why community is so important. I just think that's fascinating.
No, absolutely. And I know we've talked a lot about the neurotransmitter, so the chemical releases, so all that comes part of it too. And here's the key thing. I know your community is more online. My community that I have is a more online community where we meet via Zoom or other ways. That is not quite 100% the same as, of course, when we have personal connections where the interaction. There's another level when that in person happens, because we can give each other a hug, which is tremendously important for our but there's energy, right? There's energy among people, and
like when we get together in person and actually have coffee in person or have dinner in person, it's so much, there's a different level to it.
There's a different level to it, but that doesn't mean we can't have it online via Zoom or in other capacity. Even, there's some that do phone conversations, right? It's just being part of a group in some kind of form has all these benefits. So it's not, it doesn't have to be in person. I still highly recommend that, everybody has some kind of group in person as well. Because it's not like you have one community, right? Like we're part of multiple different communities and things. The key is finding one. And that's really what helped me too throughout COVID, was being part of a coaches community was super helpful, because I met every week with people that are in the same boat as far as, yep, you're one of them. That's how we met in a community, right? But it helped me really like connect with people that work on similar things. They are, because my husband is not a coach, so certain topics are not interesting as much as I want to have a conversation with a fellow coach, for example. So therefore, having those meetings, like we met actually once a week, right? So once a week meeting throughout COVID was so helpful for me to feel part of it. I got to know people that 2 years after meeting them for 2 years online, then I saw in person. And
wasn't that funny? And it's like, oh, that's what you actually look like.
I'm like, somebody told me, it's like, oh, I thought you would be shorter. I'm like, oh, really? For some reason, somebody comes up and goes like, oh, you actually kind of, I'm not that tall, I'm 5'7", but
you're tall.
But somebody came up and was in Zoom calls with me, like, literally for 2 years weekly. And he's like, oh, much taller. And I know somebody else I'm like, oh, I know you're a little on the shorter side, but I didn't know you're that much shorter. So,
right. Like be able to see someone like, further, like pasture.
So it's kind of fun when we see people then in person. Obviously gives another layer, but community can be so incredible powerful, even online, even when it's not in person, and it gave me a lot for sure.
So where I struggle, and maybe you have ideas for this, is how to join communities, right? Like I always say, like I want to be part of communities, but it's actually doing it. Like I think one of the reasons why being an entrepreneur is so difficult is because we're by ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We are secluded from other people trying to build a business. So it's hard to bounce ideas off people. There's just this isolation of being part of being an entrepreneur. So I think for me, it's okay, how do I find a community of other entrepreneurs, or just in my area? Like what, I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, one way is definitely nowadays, I think on social media, there's so many different groups that literally on every platform. I'm not on TikTok, but on LinkedIn, on Facebook, there's definitely already groups existing. You can almost Google any group, or Google in general, right? Like if it's for miscarriage group, or for stress relief, or or entrepreneurs, or what have you, there's different groups popping
there's ways
up
to do it.
There's groups popping up, and then it's really about paying attention, following there, and see which ones you resonate with, I think. But also in your case, for example, people that find you on social media or find you through, I know you're working closely with doctors together that find you that way, then go into the people's website. Often all the people I know that do have communities, they have some kind of information on their website. So when you find one specific person that, you know, you might like, and their content on social media or something like that, go actually check out their website. And when you check out their website, like 99.9%, I think 100% really, the people I know that do have communities, they do have a way to access a community from their website, and or contact that professional in that field and find out if they do have a community, because nowadays there are so many communities. It's really more for do a little scouting out, know what you're looking for, what kind of, because there's communities. Yours is for miscarriage, women that had miscarriages. My community is really more for leaders that are stressed or want to really make sure their health, like stress, fatigue, and all those type of things are up to par. So their health is up to par, but they're also working at the same time on their personal performance so that they really can increase their professional performance as well, you know, their personal life, and find really a better life balance in general. So those are the people in my community where we share a lot of, and that's another part, resources. I share a lot of resources in my community. Just any research I'm reading or any information, there's lots of resources available as well, and I know you have that too. So communities can be a great platform for resources, because you can Google a lot of stuff online and you'll find whatever answer you want in the pro and the con, and you don't know. So it's very good to have actually a professional that is really does really understand the material, basically scanning through different research and really making sure whatever research is posted, because I know you and I, we both care highly, highly about quality. So the resources I'm sharing, I know they're backed up. They're really, they're not just, because again, especially when we're talking about the health field, there's lots of stuff out there. And lots of stuff is very questionable. There's lots of things, particularly when it comes to, you know, diet and exercising and health. There's stuff where you go, but people read it, right? And you can't blame them, because you can't know, because it's hard. You can't be a professional in every field. So a community really is a great platform for resources. And I have to say too, in my case too, is research. I mean, everything I do is science-based, but there's certain areas where science just simply doesn't know yet. They're researching, working on it.
They're getting there, but
but it's not quite there yet. But we are in the situation, we have a specific challenge, and now how do we deal with that when we don't have clear research? And now it's really comes down to, and that was part of my healing process big time, was I had other people that I asked, said, what did you do? What do you know? What did you try out? And then I would go, oh, okay, I never thought about that. Let me try that out and see if that works. Because if we don't have science, and science is awesome, I love it, but it's certain things.
It hasn't caught up to everything.
It has not, and it's difficult because the human body and brain is a complicated system. And I had 7 doctors that didn't know what to do with me. So there was no clear research available. And so I had to work my way through it, and being part of community and reaching out and asking, hey, what resources have you read? What have you tried? So having that.
And that's another reason why to have that community. Like for me, I went through we had similar paths where I went through my miscarriages, and there's really not a lot of research on why miscarriages occur. And there's not a lot that goes into helping the woman after a miscarriage. You know, like there's a lot of trauma that goes into losing a baby. And so there's really not a lot of science or help out there for women who have lost babies to help them heal. And so that was a lot of stuff that I had to do on my own or had to talk to other people. And that's why I find a community so important in that case, because we can bounce ideas off each other. Okay, what's worked for you? You know, oh, I didn't think about that. Let me try that. You know, and it's a lot of like different doctors we're going to and talking to. And it's just, again, it's vital just to, again, and it goes back to being seen and validated and knowing that what you're going through is normal and what you're feeling is normal, and how do we move forward.
And I love that you said that too. I know your community it's open to, you know, any women, but it is a close community. Mine is a close community. So when you're looking for a community, make sure it's one that is a safe space.
Yeah. Yes.
And that it's not, you know, doesn't have
Open to,
yeah, not open where you end up people hacking and who knows what, right? So really
yeah,
having it's about, and I know, again, you're in my community, we care about it. I know a lot of other professionals that really care about the safety in the community. And so if you see that you have to lock in and maybe you have
yeah,
to
answer a question or two.
yeah, answer a question or two, maybe there's a fee to it, that is usually a sign it's safe. Okay, because the ones that if you join something that's just open where you don't have to put in your name and email address, I know most people would love to not do that, but the problem is that is a level of safety, that's a level of security. And so when you're looking for a community, make sure it is one where you have to put your name and email address, and that you may have to answer a couple of questions, because that means, because the people that are have created the community care about you and the safety of having
protecting
and protecting and having a safe space to share. Because all the people I know that have communities or created communities, they do care about that a lot, and that's what makes a community special. So to be a safe space. So anybody going out trying to find a community, make sure it's not a bad thing to put your name and email address in and answer a couple of questions or pay a few dollars for a reason, because the dollars most of the time is because it's on a platform too that is safe, not something that is just wildly open.
Yeah, I, you know, in my app, I used to have I used to have men who tried to come in and they wanted to find dates.
Yeah.
They were looking to date women who had just had been through pregnancy loss. And I'm like, that's
yeah, we want to protect that. But you had a layer of security in there, so they were not even getting to the level. So that's what really matters. Any type of community, it is a safe space. So pay attention to what how to get in the community matters, to make sure that you know you are safe and you can share you know, openly and ask questions, especially nowadays with all, you know, privacy rights and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good thing if you have to put down your name and email address.
Yeah.
Hey, we're already getting to the end again. I don't know what.
I know. That goes so fast.
Community is so important for survival, because our brain needs it. It needs it for the mental health, for the physical health, the emotional health, for really overall happiness, and being part of that belonging goes really, it's so powerful, really. That's all I can say. So find your community where you the end of the day you go like, you know what, I'm excited to be part of it. It helps me, but it's also giving back to others, that you know, you giving others in the community some resource or support can help our well-being too. Giving and serving is part of creating health and well-being for you. So
as human beings, we want to give back and help others, and that's just
so there is really no reason not to be part of a community.
Don't seclude yourself, even when you want to. I know it's so like tempting to go hide in your bed under your
Yeah, put
covers.
the blanket over the head.
Yeah, and just scroll social media or endlessly watch the news. Go join a community, put the phone down, turn the TV off, and find something that's
tribe.
important to you.
Find your tribe. With that said, find your tribe. I'm happy I got you. Happy
I
got
know, I'm so happy we have our community.
Yes. And if you want to join, if you went through a miscarriage, or have a friend who went through a miscarriage, you can find a good support community. Shannon has one. We're going to put the information is below the video. If you want to join my community, information is below the video. So you can check them out. You can reach out to us if you want to know more. And with that said, community is vital for survival.
Yes, and growth and progress.
Growth and focus. Copy to that. All right, Shannon. Till next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Oh no. The button is gone while I stopped the recording.